Welcome to another edition of Evan Ginsberg's Legends TV. I'm Evan's co-host, Steve Ludwig, and I am privileged to be sharing the stage right now with Miss Simone Talley, Miss Adrienne Auger, and the legendary Art Austin. They'll be with us again at the end of the show to talk on the couch, but right now we're going to hear a great set from the groovin' sounds of Philly Cream.
It's a beautiful morning. Oh, I think I'll go outside for a while. Just smile, just taking some clean, fresh air for me. If the weather's fine, got the time. Your chance to wake up and get another brand new day. Either way, it's okay. about. You see, the world is full of confusion, people not knowing who to trust, wondering why we still can't deal with this world he gave to us. It's about time we submit to the master's plan and bring all this hate and war to an end. He said it's about time for a brand new day and a brand new world to begin. Somebody told me to deliver this message. Pass it on. That's dying of hunger, and another man doing good. Wonder why that man hasn't even thought about helping that baby if he could. He woke me up this morning, yes he did, and this is what he had to say. This message to each and every one of you, because God knows we all need help. Help is just the way to a land of mercy. We have to consider each other, learn to love each other, and live life more abundantly. Pass it on. Oh my Lord. Somebody told me to tell you that. Oh, just go on. Somebody got to know the truth about our situation. Please listen. Oh my Lord. Somebody told me to tell
Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Dow. We have a multidiscipline practice in Melville and Ronkonkoma, New York, and we treat patients with many, many different conditions, from newborns through geriatric patients with numerous different techniques. There's a technique and a type of treatment for every class of patient. We have them all here. Here's my son Thomas, also a doctor of chiropractic, working on one of our patients' cervical spine. This patient has had chronic neck pain for many, many, many years, has been to a multitude of different practitioners with little or no response. And with our specialized techniques, she has improved tremendously and continues to improve on a daily basis. We have two practices, one in Melville and one in Ronkonkoma, New York. We are a multidiscipline chiropractic office. What that means is we have chiropractors, massage therapists, acupuncturists, psychologists, all working as a team and a network of outside professionals such as orthopedists and neurologists that we work hand in hand with to help determine what your injuries are and the best way to treat your injuries. I have the great pleasure of having my son in practice with me. We work hand in hand, father and son, to give our patients the best care possible, and a staff which is loving, caring, and you'll never have to wait at all in our office for service. Many times patients come into our office and they have what's called a soft tissue injury. Soft tissue injuries are like scars inside your body. If you've ever been cut on the outside of your body, you get a scar. The same thing happens inside of your body to your muscles and ligaments. So our job is to determine where those are, stretch the muscles, adjust the vertebra back into their correct position, and then refortify the normal structure with exercise. That's what we do best, and I hope someday you'll come see us at one of our two offices. Thank you.
For nearly a decade, Evan Ginsberg's Legends Radio has featured interviews with the greatest names in the arts and sports. Heard worldwide at legendsradio.net, the program has featured these great musical legends: Ray Manzarek of The Doors, Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins, Judy Collins, Roberta Flack, and many more. Stars from movies, TV, and comedy have included Jenny McCarthy, Wayne Brady, 30 Rock's Judah Friedlander, Shelley Berman, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, David Allen Greer, and Paul Mooney. Stars of pro wrestling and MMA include Bruno Sammartino, Rowdy Roddy Piper, Superstar Billy Graham, and Frank Shamrock. Co-hosted by renowned journalist Dr. Mike Lano, Legends Radio is heard Wednesdays 7 p.m. to 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard. We are archived 24/7 with hundreds of hours of classic interviews. Legends Radio also features the best in indie music, showcasing talent deserving wider exposure.
I'm from Brooklyn, baby. Don't forget the gravy. We are soldiers.
You missed the birth of your mother and father. Don't you dare miss Evan Ginsberg's Legends Radio. For nearly a decade, Evan Ginsberg's Legends Radio is featured in...
Being a fireman is more than just putting out blazes and giving kittens CPR. Sometimes my duty demands I fan the flames, like when a call comes in from a lady who needs immediate assistance.
Maybe she needs help with a computer thing. Maybe she wants to go antique. Could be as simple as understanding that walking in heels it's hard. Aussi simple que l'été dernier à Paris. C'est sympa. Maybe it's ladies' night in, and she wants a simple, delicious recipe for margaritas with a twist. First, can of limeade. Now hold on to this. You'll be using it. Side note, kittens make everything better. Next, add water. Now, a bottle of light beer. No, shh. Trust me, I'm a professional. And last, and most important, Sauza Blue Tequila. Now, mix it up. Ole. Yes, that's what I'm trained for. Whether it's to help her choose leggings or pants, telling her leggings are pants, or discussing leggings and jeggings versus pant pegging at her next ladies' night in, I'll come to the rescue. Don't call me a hero. Just call me. Let me know what time.
I am Tom Mealy for the Harrison Law Group, and I have been telling you for years that getting involved in an automobile accident is no joke. This is what we do. We're not new at this game. If you've been involved in an accident of any kind, and you go to a law firm that says you have no case, it's simple. It's because they can't do it and they don't get it. You need to call us directly at 1-800-INJURY-LAW.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
All right, Evan Ginsberg back with Legends TV. And what an honor it is to have Philly Cream. They'll be back later in the show. And we are joined by my co-host, Steve Ludwig, and model, ring girl, Amy Way, and the distinguished Christopher Michaels. And Steve, why don't you update us on Classic Pop Culture Radio? You always have some unbelievable guests.
Yeah, thanks, Evan. We're every new show is premiered on Tuesday at planetludwig.com. And this week we have the lead singer of the Shadows of Night. Now, their big hit was Gloria. Gloria, Gloria.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Jimmy Sands. He had some great stories about he had an altercation with Sid Vicious, we're going to talk about, from the Sex Pistols.
Sid Vicious from the Sex Pistols, not the wrestler.
No,
all the wrestling fans are going.
That's right.
Yeah.
No wrestling fans. It's
Right.
the singer, the late Sid Vicious. We also have a very prolific author, incredible, Gary D. Henry. In 5 years, he's written 19 books.
Wow.
He's going to tell us how he does
That
that.
is prolific.
It's prolific. And
In 55 years, I've written one book. So.
yeah. Join the club. I
Yeah.
have trouble making out a grocery list.
Right.
He has 19 books in 5 years. And then the week after, we have Paul Peterson from the Donna Reed Show, Mickey Mouse Club. But he's got a very important organization called the Minor Consideration about child actors and actresses who are just not taken care of and taken advantage of. So next couple of weeks we have a lot of very interesting
Many
things to talk about.
times child stars do not fare well in the real world. And the first one that comes to mind is Alfalfa from the Little Rascals, who died in a fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my brother, my younger brother's working on a book about Alfalfa.
Really?
He interviewed Alfalfa's aunt, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. And
We
he-
should get Alfalfa's aunt on the show. That,
Yeah,
that would be
yeah.
interesting.
Her name is
Imagine that.
Judith, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love the Rascals to
Great.
this day. To this day. In fact, whenever I'm in an old classroom in an old school, I'll go, Mrs. Crabtree used to teach here.
Or if it's a heavy kid, it's Chubsy Ubsy. You know, it's
That's right. That's right. Norman, Chubsy Ubsy.
Norman. Don't call me Norman. Call me Chubsy Ubsy.
That's right. That's right. And Amy is the ring girl with the WWO, based out of Queens and possibly moving to Brooklyn in the near future. We'll discuss that later with Chris Michaels. But Amy, how do you like being a ring girl with the WWO?
I love being a ring girl, and I have a great time at the last WWO shows.
And you're originally from China. Tell us a little about yourself.
I'm from China. I'm a part of WWO as a ring girl.
And what we're going to do is show a couple of your modeling shots, and we're going to ask the cameraman to zoom, as the Iron Sheik would say. And this is Amy, who is lying on the beach, and I believe this is in our little intro at the beginning of each Legends TV. I'm pretty sure this is the
I
same
knew I
shot.
recognized that picture.
That's
when you
right.
held it up.
That's right. And this almost looks like the beautiful Chinese calendars when you always see the beautiful woman next to the flowers.
Miss September.
I like this very much. And beautiful shot. Beautiful shot. And one more. This also looks like it's from a Chinese calendar. Beautiful, beautiful work. And
Thank
Very nice.
and you enjoy modeling, huh?
you. Yes, I love it.
There you go. There you go. And Christopher Michaels representing not only the WWO, but who is this belt representing?
Well, I have this, which a few weeks back, I got this title for the Superstars of Wrestling, and I took out magic to get this title, the United States Heavyweight Championship title for the Superstars of Wrestling organization.
And I find it interesting. There's so many kids out there wrestling, and some of them are very inexperienced, and within 8 seconds they're going to a high spot. I find it interesting that a promoter would put the belt on a veteran such as yourself. Why do you think that is?
Well, it could be for any number of reasons, I guess. But I guess mostly I'm Sir Christopher Michaels. I'm the leader of the International Coalition in Superstars of Wrestling. And what better to have an anti-American a coalition carrying the United States Heavyweight Championship. It just is a dig for the fans. They just hate that. And they just, when I walk out into an arena, and within moments of taking my steps out, I look around and I just have to tell people just how ugly they are.
There you go.
And I always look for the fat guy sitting in the audience, look at him, and I tell him he's got to call Weight Watchers, get a refund. I look for someone that's got a huge gap in their front teeth, and I tell them that they use the ring rope for dental floss. And it's always good to find an old lady someplace and look at that and say, "Excuse me, ma'am, I think you have a run in your stockings. Pardon me, you're not wearing any." So you have to say some things to try to get the ire of the crowd up in order for when the good guy, the baby face, comes out, and you have to be able to give that guy enough fodder. These people have to hate me. I mean, it used to be the times that you would have people throw things at you. Now, of course, you don't know what they're lobbing at you anymore. So I remember I had a guy throw a beer at me once, and I said, really, you could have just given it to me. That's alcohol abuse. You really shouldn't have done that. But I guess someone in my stature, I'm probably never going to see another title again. So for me, this is, it's like at my age, I don't see myself going back to work for McMahon anytime soon, unless maybe he's going to throw me a bone. He feels like some charitable work other than the other things that they do. But I see that highly unlikely, and I'm probably going to segue myself more into behind the scenes, maybe at some point just coming out as a manager and not being in the ring so much, because you got to give the young guys an opportunity also to build themselves up and develop themselves. A lot of the young guys that are out there, especially in New York State, one of the things that, for me at least, is it's the New York State Athletic Commission deregulated wrestling licenses, and in one respect, I guess they saw it on one side it was good, but I find it to be a negative aspect. And the reason I'm saying that is because back when wrestlers initially got their licensing done, they would go into the city, they would get fingerprinted, they would get an EKG done, and you would have to have a letter from a credible wrestling school from the person who was the lead instructor or the proprietor of that organization who signed off on that, and it was legitimizing you as a professional. Now, anybody can come out here, go to Modell's, buy spandex off the rack, get, a lot of these amateurs like to go out with these shoes and kick pads on and wear something that cost them $1.380 at the Halloween warehouse or something.
Yes.
It's just the things that they do to come out. It's some of these guys. It's almost like fantasy football guys.
I want you to know I've sat at vendor tables, at gimmick tables, and wrestlers have come up to buy merchandise. I thought they were high school kids. I didn't even realize they were wrestlers. So that's how bad it's become, seriously.
Oh, no, well, I mean, a lot of guys, albeit I'm 53 years old, so I'm not in the shape that I used to be.
None of us are, Chris.
Well, yeah, I've went from the body of a Greek god to a Greek diner owner. So so I've kind of, gravity, of course, like the late great Joan Rivers would say that she used to like to go around braless because her tatas would fall down and yank the wrinkles out of her face. I guess that was prior to plastic surgery.
Chris Michael's doing Joan Rivers jokes.
Well, I figured let me throw one in there and pay a little homage to him.
You want to know something? Some of my favorite heels in wrestling have always been funny. Roddy Piper was hilarious, Don Morocco, John Tolis, who's very underrated and history hasn't done
Golden
him
Greek,
justice.
right? John
Tolis was funny.
I worked with him on UWF with Herb Abrams.
How great was John Tolis?
John Tolis was, I guess you could say, was never lost for words. And during a lot of his promos, you would actually see his mouth was still moving as they were zooming out because they just didn't have, 10 minutes to roll with what he had to say. So,
I saw him wrestle Bruno at the Garden, 1974. Tolis was great. Oh, my God. And he wrestled Blassie. That was really the first closed circuit or later pay-per-view that they ever had. People don't realize that.
Well, the thing that's, I guess you're mentioning Bruno in the Garden, back then, a wrestler could take a guy down in a headlock and the people would be screaming and yelling and screaming and yelling. And now you take a guy down in a headlock and within less than 15 seconds, you get some moron out there yelling boring.
Yeah.
And it's just the conditioning of the wrestling fans now. They're just not smart to what's going on, or they don't understand
psychology.
Right, exactly. The psychology of wrestling is that you remember that there was times when you get a good heel would go out there and get ready to lock up with the guy back into the corner, and then he would slide out under the top rope and avoid the lockup, and this would go on back and forth for about a good 5 minutes until finally the babyface couldn't take it and he just snatched the guy and did something, and it gave the crowd. You have to make them anxious. You have to bring them up, bring them down.
That's
but
right.
now we've got these kids, we call them spot monkeys. All they do, it's like watching a lucha libre event. And
the fans are calling the match instead of vice versa.
Right, exactly. It's just almost like this, like they're playing a video game and they got their joysticks out there and they're trying to control the pace of what's going on.
Absolutely.
And these guys are doing these death-defying stunts, and a lot of times for less than the crowd of people that's in there, it's not worth the risk to their bodies. I mean, now if you're going to be in front of 60,000 people and it's an actual good payday, I could understand, yes, you have to develop skills and whatnot, but the younger guys don't realize that they bump too much. They should involve the people, like it's like they're making themselves a highlight reel to send out to
a potential wrestling promoter.
And they don't understand that WWE is not impressed by that. What WWE is impressed by is psychology, controlling the crowd, exactly what Chris is saying.
Well, you have to know when to bring them up, bring them down, give them hope, take it away, and
Telling a story.
A lot of times, right? Exactly, and a lot of times, the screw job is probably one of the greatest things that happens on TV, because really, how many baby faces do you see go over on TV? You really don't. Most of the time, they're either getting attacked, disqualification, someone interferes. These things happen, but then at the house shows, there's a lot of times where these guys get vindicated. Is that at a house show, of course, you're going to get the crowd. They want to get their money's worth, and of course, you're going to get a longer match. You're not going to get what you're getting on television, and thank God you're not going to get these ridiculous 7-minute promos that go on and on and on and on.
Triple H has done the same promo for like 20 years. You go, Steve, who's your favorite funny heel?
Oh boy, good question. Yeah. I do love Roddy Piper. I mean, Piper's Pit was just,
The Valiant Brothers were hilarious.
Valiant
Albano, Bobby Heenan, Jimmy Hart. I like wrestlers who are funny. They're funny, and you want to see them get their ass kicked. That's an art, right, Chris?
Well, of course. Well, that's like I said. When I go out in front of a crowd, telling people that they're ugly is one thing. But then when I say, after looking at this crowd, I really support a woman's right to choose.
Yeah,
So with that, and just like some of the times, you can get the guys, you can give them that little zinger, and the crowd will respond to it. But at the same time, still call you an a-hole. So that's what I'm. That's what you're really trying to get, is like you get that little ha-ha spot in there, and. Even can we still say midget wrestlers? Is that like persona non grata anymore? You always had.
I miss Sky Lolo. I love that guy. Little Beaver.
Yep.
right, Steve?
Yes.
Who are your favorite midget wrestlers?
Well, you said Sky Lolo.
Yeah.
That's the name when you think of
Cowboy Lang.
Cowboy Lang. But can I go back a second?
Sure,
I wanted to mention to Sir Chris Michaels and to you, Evan. You're both veterans of the wrestling world. My favorite manager, two of them, my two favorite were Fred Blassie and Captain Lou Albano. But I liked Fred Blassie better than Captain Lou.
Why is that?
He was more subtle with his humor.
Right.
Captain Lou was a little over the top. He was great, absolutely fantastic. But to me, Fred Blassie could just subtly say something, and he had a little glint of something in his eye. You knew he was in on the joke, but I think to me, he's the best manager that I've ever seen growing up.
Yeah, they were all great. The Grand Wizard. The Grand Wizard would never get hit. So every month you go to see somebody clock him, and it would never happen. And you'd want to see it, and the guy was great, the Wizard.
And Sir Chris, a great manager, is so important, isn't that right?
Almost a lost art.
Yeah.
Well, true. Well, it's just the misuse of the women nowadays. They're just sexual objects for the undateable fat fanboys that live in their mom's basement waiting for a nip slip during a match.
Ouch.
And
don't talk about me like that.
And I can understand these guys really, they need to get out of their mom's basement and stop writing wrestling blogs and actually get a life, get outside. And I'm not saying that I don't appreciate the fans, but there is more to life than professional wrestling. God knows there really is. The only ones that really should be eating, sleeping, drinking, crapping, living their life about wrestling are the guys trying to make it in the business. Being a fan, believe it or not, there are other things in life. And
if you wake up and the first thing in the morning you think of is how much you hate or love John Cena, you probably need help, real help.
Well, if you can't sleep because the Undertaker's streak was broken and everybody, Brock Lesnar, why Brock Lesnar? Why not Brock Lesnar? He's probably one of the only guys in there that's done almost everything you could possibly do in athletics. Yes, he was a regular collegiate-style wrestler. He did try to play professional football. He went into the mixed martial arts ring, and now he's back doing this.
Brock Lesnar is a heel who you could actually dislike in 2014. He comes off like the school bully. He comes off like the guy who would steal your lunch money. Right, Steve?
Absolutely. He's convinced me that he might be a rotten person in real life. Obviously, I don't know him, but you wonder if it's an act half the time.
I saw Dolph Ziggler headline the Garden against Cena in a cage, and you're watching this guy and you're going, he looks like a nice guy, Ziggler. That's not the effect that want as the heel in the main event.
Brock Lesnar's a great great heel.
Yeah, yeah. Very unlikable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Chris, we're going to briefly show a clip of Rob Fury's promotion that you're representing here today. Video clip, and it's brief, folks. Check this out. You'll enjoy it.
Stars of wrestling, where wrestling generations collide.
All
Great
right.
clip.
Chris Michaels representing the Superstars of Wrestling. And when's the next show, Chris?
Next show is going to be in Spotswood, New Jersey on November 11th. They had actually moved the date. You can check out Superstars of Wrestling on Facebook. There is a page out there, and you can get all your updates. And there also should be another show coming in December 5th. And I believe it's Avenel, New Jersey. So they basically run out of the Jersey area. So if you're watching this and you're from Jersey, check them out. Well, one of the things that's great about independent professional wrestling, unlike spending $300 to get a ringside seat at one of these Madison
Want to know
Square
something?
Garden events.
WWE now, $599 where they give you the seat and you meet one wrestler for one autograph. $599. How ridiculous is that?
Well, I guess to those same undateable fat fanboys living in their mother's basement, it's a bargain.
Whoa, whoa.
There's nothing like what you say is what's it? Ringling, not Ringling Brothers. Who was the guy from
P.T. Barnum.
P.T. Barnum. There you go. I'm thinking of the circus and P.T. Barnum. But I mean, think about it. A sucker's born every minute, and they're thinking this is great. They got a chair. Oh boy, I'm it. This is it, man. For $600. That's my car insurance and a car payment for a month. So it's like, really, is it that? It astounds me that a fool just parts with his money so easily. And meanwhile, there are charities. These poor kids are starving overseas, but they're dumping their money into something like this. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, it's hard to get $5 out of somebody for a charity.
Yeah, gee whiz, right? Yeah, wonder. You know what I mean? Is that people will complain about the price of gas, but have no problem, spending $4.99 for a gallon of milk, or going out and getting a little itty bitty bottle. I won't mention the name of spring water for 99 cents, and you can get a gallon for 99 cents in your local chain pharmacy. So
Christopher Michaels, economist.
I'm telling you,
Amy, you're going to be back with the WWO on their next show, and I believe they're still coming up with the date. Do we have a date yet for that, Chris?
Not yet.
No, there's no date yet with the WWO.
Give out the URL and.
Well, you could check out, of course, WWO on Facebook. They do have a web page, but you could connect with that off of the Facebook page because it's got one of these long URLs that I really couldn't bring back to my memory at any point.
Right.
But if you look for the WWO Wrestling, you can find it on there. And there's also a YouTube channel where you could also see some of the videos that were uploaded to the internet. So if you weren't privy to the show, live in the New York area, you actually have a chance to see what was going on.
And our buddy Pitbull Gary Wolf, who's been on Legends TV twice, he's a regular with WWO. Jason Knight, great talent over there. And Steve, please plug Classic Pop Culture.
Oh, well, thanks, Evan. It's planetludwig.com, and it's 24/7. We archive the shows, and we're on a day before Legends Radio.
That's right. Every Wednesday, 7 to 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard, legendsradio.net, hosted by yours truly. And folks, when we come back, we're going to be speaking with the legendary Philly Cream. Don't you dare go anywhere.
My name is Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. Vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. If you find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com.
Interviews with the greatest names in the arts and sports. Heard worldwide at legendsradio.net. The program has featured these great musical legends: Ray Manzarek of The Doors, Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins, Judy Collins, Roberta Flack, and many more. Stars from movies, TV, and comedy have included Jenny McCarthy, Wayne Brady, 30 Rock's Judah Friedlander, Shelley Berman, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, David Allen Greer, and Paul Mooney. Stars of pro wrestling and MMA include Bruno Sammartino, Rowdy Roddy Piper, Superstar Billy Graham, and Frank Shamrock. Co-hosted by renowned journalist Dr. Mike Lano, Legends Radio is heard Wednesdays 7 p.m. to 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard. We are archived 24/7 with hundreds of hours of classic interviews. Legends Radio also features the best in indie music, showcasing talent deserving wider exposure.
I'm from Brooklyn, baby. Don't forget the gravy. We are soldiers.
You missed the birth of your mother and father. Don't you dare miss Evan Ginsberg's Legends Radio.
I'm Tommy Marr. I'm down in St. Bart's having a good time. A lot of people at this time, they like to go have a little cocktail. But you know what I do? I'm going to watch MadhouseTV.com. You got that right.
YesWeCare.net is a 501c3 charity that provides help to veterans and their families. Please visit YesWeCare.net and donate in any way you can by purchasing our beautiful framed prints or relaxation CDs and DVDs, even smooth jazz CDs. YesWeCare.net. Remember, our troops are on their way home. They need all the support they can get. YesWeCare.net.
Brooklyn's best locksmith and hardware.
We have 3 of the largest showrooms of safes on display and in stock. You can see and touch them in person instead of browsing a catalog. We carry gun and rifle safes, burglary safes, jewelry safes, fire rated from a half hour to 2 hour. Famous name brands.
We sell Gardol.
We sell AMSAC. The new AMSAC touchscreen.
If you're ever in need of a safe, think Brooklyn's best locksmith and hardware. Right, Lockie?
That's right, Alan.
I am Tom Mealy for the Harrison Law Group, and I have been telling you for years that getting involved in an automobile accident is no joke. This is what we do. We're not new at this game. If you've been involved in an accident of any kind, and you go to a law firm that says you have no case, it's simple. It's because they can't do it and they don't get it. You need to call us directly at 1-800-INJURY-LAW.
Technical Worldwide Tattoo Supply is one of the largest suppliers in the world and your #1 resource for top quality, affordable tattoo and piercing supplies. Technical Worldwide Tattoo Supply is the #1 supplier of tattoo inks in the world with more than 200 products including Mom's Ink, Philadelphia Eddie's Traditional Inks, Paolini Sacred Color Inks, and more. Technical Worldwide Tattoo Supply, your one-stop shopping destination for great service, best prices, and top quality supplies. Coney Island Carlos vintage wines and premium spirits are undeniably distinctive, selected for their unique, memorable flavor. Coney Island Carlos vintage wines and premium spirits are delivered to you in beautifully designed bottles featuring limited edition artwork. Coney Island Carlos vintage wines and premium spirits are available at affordable prices in fine restaurants, bars, and liquor stores. Or check www.coneyislandcarlo.com for availability.
All right, Evan Ginsberg back with Legends TV. What an honor it is to have Philly Cream joining us. Mr. Austin, introduce these beautiful ladies.
This one over here, this is Adrian, and this is Simone. They are my favorite 2 ladies in the whole universe.
There you go, there you go.
Thank you, Rick.
So this is not like an unsung episode where everybody hates each other.
No.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
No, it was like we gelled real fine the first time we sang together, which we were studio musicians the whole time. But the first time we sang together was like, yo, this is it, and I kind of feel good about that.
So take us back. How did Philly Cream start? Give us a little history.
That's like 25, 30 years, maybe a little further than that. What happened, it was another singer, Brandy Wells, and myself. Both of us was obligated to 2 other groups. I was with Fat Larry's band, she was with Slick. And so they decided to put an album together and call it Philly Cream, so we sang all of it. And another group took over the name and they toured with it. But yeah, now it brings us back to this day because they really destroyed the Philly Cream image, doing a bunch of crazy stuff. And but now we back on the set and we have the opportunity to clean all of that up and make it right.
This does sound like an unsung episode, come to think of it. I watch that all the time. I love that show.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. So tell us about Butch Ingram's involvement with Philly Cream.
Well, Butch was really intricate in the way things went because he matched me with Adrian and he matched me with Simone. He said that, our chemistry probably would work well. And he was absolutely right. And now we're on Society Hill Records and the new release is out. And what we're trying to do with things that we're doing now is to bring everybody, back to where we was when we recorded it.
Right.
You know, in that era, that type of music, you know, it really inspires you to hear that kind of music. So we decided to do a couple of other songs to bring the group back forward again and do the same old stuff that we had before, just put a new twist on it, and we'll work with it from here.
And the music is so timeless. Cowboys, the
Yes,
Girls,
yes,
the
yes,
Intruders
yes,
originally.
yes.
I mean, we just went to the 70s Soul Jam a couple of months back, and
Oh, that
you know,
was
absolutely packed, thousands of people, 2 shows, Beacon Theater,
Yeah.
stylistics, dramatics,
Yeah.
emotions, etc., so on. And you know, this music never goes out of style. Great
No,
music
no,
is forever.
You get goosebumps when you
Yeah.
hear
Yes,
it
that's for
live.
sure. Feel good
especially.
music.
Yeah, and you try to bring people back to that time, you know, and experience some of the things that we experienced while we was doing it.
And also, just from watching you move on stage, the professionalism, we happen to support hip hop. We have tons of indie hip hop artists come on the show, but they don't have much of a stage act in general. I mean, there are some exceptions, Public Enemy, of course, but in general, the hip hop artists just kind of like pace about the stage, and there are exceptions. I don't like to make blanket statements. But when you see old school R&B groups there, you know, they're so professional, and they always dress sharp and look sharp. It's
Well,
a different world.
We try to do that. We try to do that.
I was mentioning to Mr. Austin during the commercial break, I love the Cowboys to Girls move, according to both Adrian and Simone. It was great. And that's just the old, you love that kind of
When you
movement
think
on
of
stage.
when you think of great movement on stage, of course, the Temptations first come to mind.
Absolutely,
The
absolutely.
Spinners,
Yeah.
especially back in the day with Felipe Wynn on lead. Oh my
Yeah,
God, how
yeah.
great were the Spinners?
Awesome.
Yeah.
It is criminal that they are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That's for sure.
20 plus million selling records. They've been out there 50 years.
I know, it's
And still
unbelievable.
not in
really.
And they're not in the Rock. What do you have to do?
Maybe become Philly Cream.
That's
Yeah.
Speaking
Right?
of million-selling artists.
Yeah.
And why do you think so many great acts have come specifically out of the Philly area? I mean, Harold
I don't
Melvin
know.
and the Blue Notes, the
you
Intruders,
name
and you
it,
could go
Intruders,
on forever.
The OJs.
The OJs.
Yeah, you named Lou Ross, and even the Jacksons was there for a little while. But it's just a good feeling city.
But what
You
is
know,
it about the area geographically? I mean, when in the old days, even prior, we had doo-wop, and you had the great New York doo-wop singers and the great Philly singers, and it was very regional.
Right.
I mean, you have tons of great funk bands out of Ohio, the Ohio
Right,
Players,
right.
Roger Troutman and Zapp, etc., so on. But it's something about Philly with great soul music. I mean, is there a way to
Well,
put your
yeah,
finger on that?
I would attenuate that to things like great songwriters. These guys are
Gamble
really
and Huff.
write slick,
Gamble and Huff.
really slick lyrics, and they really get down into your soul with those lyrics, with those buzz lines and stuff that they be putting in songs, and it really works out really well. Well, I'm one of the songwriters that was back there, and Butch, he was one of the songwriters, but McFadden and Whitehead and
Ain't no
those
stopping
guys,
us now. Yeah.
those guys, they were good friends of mine. And
Wow.
both of them died tragically, but
Yeah.
you know, they were really good friends of mine. And wow, you know, you think about stuff like that, and you know, you like to bring people back to a time before all of that, and just experience some of the things that we've experienced.
You have these beautiful romantic songs with
Absolutely.
clean lyrics.
Yes, yes.
And believe me, I have no problem with language. I mean, I grew up on Richard Pryor, Lenny Bruce, George Carlin. I have no problem with language. But a Smokey Robinson's been out there 50 plus years. He never used the curse once,
right.
and
Not once.
these songs
Not
are
once.
immortal. I mean,
Yeah, you don't have to do that to communicate. It's a higher level of communication.
Right.
And you know, it's just you have to use the buzzwords and the language of today, but you don't really have to put all that vulgar stuff in there.
I was sitting in a pizza place, okay, and I'm listening to a rap tune, and they're throwing out words like bitch, and there's little kids sitting there, and I'm like, you know, I don't know if I necessarily agree with this. I don't have a problem if it's an adult audience, but there's little kids sitting there. I mean, what do you think?
Well, it's horrible, but I guess that is music as it is today. And I guess along with technology and stuff like that, I guess it progresses right along. And some things that wasn't acceptable before are acceptable now. But
The other thing I always find
I
interesting
don't agree
is
with it.
every 14-year-old that comes out with a single today, they say the kid's a genius. And I'm like, no, Curtis Mayfield was a genius. Marvin Gaye was a genius. This kid's not a genius. Yes, he still has something to prove, right?
Right.
I mean, it cheapens the word, when you talk about language.
Yeah. But I mean, if you look at where music is today, it's acceptable, totally acceptable. Even rock and roll, going into the rock and roll vein, they're saying things that, years and years ago they wouldn't put in the song,
I have no problem with them talking about adult themes.
Right.
I mean, like Billy Paul, of course, talked about adultery, me and Mrs. Jones.
Yeah.
But he did it in such a way that it was elegant.
Yes.
It wasn't sleazy,
True.
Evan, you mentioned Billy Paul. I know, Adrian, you sang with Billy Paul.
I love Billy Paul.
What was that experience
we had
like?
a wonderful time. We were in Brazil.
Wow.
And I had an awesome time. He is just as popular, just as talented as he was years ago. He still has that charisma when he hits the stage and all that energy.
And he's pushing 80.
Yeah.
I think a year or so ago, he and a French singer covered Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And his voice is as great as it's always been. It's just
amazingly awesome.
We had Billy Paul on both of our radio shows, and he was telling me that he makes more of a living overseas and Europe and Asia than in his own country.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
I have no idea. Well, Philly Cream was another group that made more money overseas than they made here.
But why
They
is
did.
there more respect for an
have
American
no
art
idea.
form overseas than in our own country?
I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, they appreciate. I guess they do appreciate music a little better, and we don't have to, you put so many standards up, and everybody can't stand up to the standard.
Now, one of the things I like to put out on this show is to tell parents, take your kid by the hand, take your kid to hear live music, to see
Absolutely.
live theater,
Absolutely.
take the kid to the
Most
museum. Don't let the kid be babysat by the TV, the computer,
Right,
video
right.
games.
Right.
Yeah, you need live you need live entertainment. You need to see the mistakes. The professionalism comes out when somebody makes a mistake and you can't tell it as an audience. When you go to see a live play, and I bet you it's a million mistakes, and they do these plays every night, and I bet you it's a million mistakes that go on, but you would never be able to tell it because of the professionalism of the
Absolutely.
actors.
Absolutely. Steve, you're going to say something? I'm
Well,
sorry.
I was going to mention that, just going back a couple of points, that maybe because our own American-grown singers we take for granted, and America is so respected with music, with the roots of music, that maybe when American acts go overseas, like you
It's
said,
like
there's so
big,
much more respect.
maybe.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story. A buddy of mine, Carlton J. Smith, is an R&B singer. He grew up in Harlem. He struggled here. He ends up making a living in China singing
How about
R&B.
that? Go figure that one out.
Yeah, where he was playing 5-6 nights a week in an elegant club, and he actually had his face on billboards over there.
Wow.
And over here it was a struggle. I mean, you have to go to the other side of the world
Right.
to bring great music.
Our friend Cody Mundi, Kid Creole and the Coconuts, they were big over in Europe, and they had a...
They were bigger in Europe than here, and they're
they
from
were
New
bigger
York.
here, but yeah.
Kid Creole and the Coconuts, one of the greatest stage acts you'll ever see.
Well, I'll tell you, I would love to go to China or Japan, and dude, I would just have a problem with that language because I know that would be hard for me.
My wife's Korean.
No.
I can't speak 10 words of Korean. Language, people communicate,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
through music.
Yeah, through music, yeah.
Mr. Austin should bring a ring girl, Amy, with him. She's
That's
from
right.
China.
Amy will translate.
Right? Go to your
Yes,
translator.
there you go.
She'll translate for me, yeah.
You're early.
Yes.
Yes.
Seriously, I've had performers tell me, even rappers, they'll go to Europe and they're rapping in English, and somehow the message gets across.
Yeah.
And music is universal.
Yes, it is.
And I don't think that would be an issue. In fact, when you're doing standards, when you're doing classics, many times they're singing the words. They're singing along.
They know all the words to the
Yeah, yeah,
song.
yeah, yeah.
That's very
Absolutely,
true.
absolutely.
I've heard, I read interviews with fans, Asian fans, and they learned English from listening to Beatle records.
Yeah,
I remember
sure,
reading an
sure.
article.
Wow.
Music, like you said, is universal.
Yes.
You learn the words, you just phonetically repeat them,
Yes.
and it is so universal. I think it's the most universal communication we have, music.
So tell us about some of the great artists you've worked with over the years.
Oh, wow. Go back. I was with Lou Ross. Did it with the OJs.
The early Lou Rawls, Tobacco Road and all that was
Yeah.
tremendous. I like that even
But he
more
did-
than the
yeah,
later
he,
stuff.
He did that on every show.
Yeah, yeah.
Although I was along with his more up-to-date music.
Right, right.
But every show he did Tobacco Road
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah.
of it. He did it, and it was really a pleasure working with him. And I worked with Sister Sledge, and I worked with Anita Baker, and God.
How do you rate Anita Baker as a vocalist? I mean,
She's
beautiful.
fabulous. Simply.
She reminds me of Sarah Vaughan, all those
Yeah.
octaves.
Ooh, ooh. She got it going. She got it going on. She really do. Stephanie Mills.
Yeah.
New York,
I saw her
Worked with
recently.
Stephanie.
She's still great.
And the
She's
Whispers.
still-
Yeah,
yeah,
I worked with
Whispers.
those guys. It's a lot, whole lot. I can't even remember all the people. Right? You know, I sit here and then Cool in the Gang. As I start to, it comes back. You know.
The Whispers go back to that tradition where every move is choreographed and they're
Oh.
unbelievable stage show.
Well, the first time we did it with the Whispers, I was with Fat Larry's band. But 3 tall guys came out, and then 2 little short things came out. Yo, what was that? They totally killed. I think we was in North Jersey, and I didn't even realize 2 of these little buggers. I'm short, but like I said, yo, oh come on. Oh, did they really did, they killed it. They killed
My
it.
wife speaks almost no English from Korea. I
Mhm.
took her to see the Whispers. She just sat there, wow, you know, because it's such a great show.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Austin would have a great book in him about your career. You must have some stories to tell, seriously. Have you ever considered writing a book?
No, not at all, not at all. I did because it fascinates me. You know, you hear now. It just seems like it's a badge of honor for these younger guys. They'll go to jail and they'll come out, and you know, it's like a badge of honor. I did, you know, and I'm trying to tell them that is wrong.
Absolutely.
Wrong. But they tell me they make these things chi-chis. I wanted to write a book on chi-chis. That's what I wanted to do. Because I love to know how you cook a noodle with no water.
Wow.
With no heat, you don't have no gas, you don't have nothing. You just cook. All right, I know that's beside the point. Okay.
It's okay.
It's all right,
It's
yeah.
okay.
Ranting now.
You know, I hear all the time people will say, for example, Michael Jackson was the greatest performer ever. And I'm like, no. Maybe James Brown in the Tammy Show, which Michael Jackson studied. Jackie Wilson. I mean, who do you think of
they worked hard.
Who do you think are the greatest live stage performers?
Greatest lives, Frank Sinatra.
Really?
I love Frank. I love him. Frank was he was the best. The tops. He was the very
Frank
tops.
Sinatra enunciated. You understood
Yes.
every word. Sometimes I listen to a song
Love
today,
this guy.
I'm like, what did he say?
My wife and I
Loves this
saw,
guy.
I'm sorry. My wife and I saw Frank Sinatra very near the end of his career. And you know, he was reading off the teleprompter with his glasses, and he still killed. He had the audience in his hands.
The
It was
guy's
just-
excellent. He's
Yeah.
excellent. He was excellent. My goodness.
Sinatra loved Basie.
Yeah.
Loved Count Basie.
And Harry Connick Jr. and Harry Connick Sr. was he did a lot of Frank Sinatra's arrangements and stuff, didn't he? Well, I like Harry Connick
Nelson
Jr.
Riddle
too.
used to arrange Sinatra. He was great.
Yeah. I like the classics. I like all of that kind of music, you know. So I guess it is a love song. In
But
some way.
actual on stage, like when I saw James Brown probably a dozen times,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I think James Brown is every bit as good, if not better, than Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was lip syncing through a lot of that.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your take on that as far as pure stage performance?
I think Mike was talented. He was.
He's great,
Yeah,
no doubt,
He was
great.
talented, but James did a lot more hard work. He did a lot more hard work. James worked. I mean, he didn't have all the electronics and stuff that Michael had to realize. James went out there and did all the steps was like, you know, brand new, because a lot of times I guess he was falling because he was doing some good stuff there.
Yeah.
You know, you had to be falling to be doing stuff like that.
Sometimes it's like apples and oranges. When you saw an Otis Redding, which
Yeah.
was raw and pure, it's very different from what Michael was doing, but that was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I noticed the songs from James Brown's era were short. They were
Yeah.
like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Where Michael Jackson's
good point.
music,
Yeah.
each song was like 5, 7 minutes, 8, 10 minutes long. So a performance of James Brown might have been 45 minutes. Where Michael Jackson, you went to see a concert, it was like 2 3 hours.
Oh, it was epic. It was.
So it was.
I saw Michael
much-
Jackson.
So, time-wise, Michael did. They both did a lot of work,
They
but
earned their
he
money.
was longer. So he worked hard too.
Yeah, he worked hard too,
Michael
but
Jackson fan.
yeah, I'm a Michael Jackson. I love Mike. He was pretty good.
Evan, I'd love to know who Simone and Adrienne listened to when they were little girls growing up. What kind of music they
Aw.
listened to?
Who are your influences?
Everybody. I also sang with Breakwater. They're a band also from Philadelphia, and I grew up on a lot of bands.
Right.
Rolls Royce and band. I was more of a band. I loved listening to band music with a vocalist instead of Dionne Warwick and things like that. Like I was on which.
So who are some of your favorite bands? Rolls Royce.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Without a doubt, Heat Wave.
How about you, Simone?
I enjoyed the Aretha Franklin,
Yeah.
Diana Ross, Donna Summers.
I've seen all of them live.
Yes,
All great.
and even Whitney Houston was one of my main proteges, and I love her music still to today. She's timeless as well.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, her memory definitely will live on. But I love the soulful music, you know, and I have a gospel background, so I started singing in church when I was young, and so I always sang with gospel groups, and then advanced and did a little bit of jazz. I enjoy jazz as well.
Sarah
Ella
Vaughan.
Fitzgerald. I like the old timers.
Sure.
Yeah. When I was a kid, my mom and dad would take me to see Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Carmen
Yes.
McRae,
Yes.
Buddy
Those
Rich,
are the great
Basie.
There you go. There
Yes.
you go.
And my parents would take me to R&B shows. So like I said, I saw
Wow.
the Spinners with Felipe Wynn. Many just great shows, and I'm very indebted to my parents for turning me on to great music. And
Well, I was lucky because my godfather sang with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
Wow.
Bernie Wilson, he's passed now. He's in with the rest of them in heaven. But I would go to the supper clubs. We used to have supper clubs on
Sure,
Sunday
sure.
night. They had an afternoon show, and I was on stage with them.
Wow. Wow.
I could not resist.
Was Teddy still with them?
Yes.
Wow. Oh,
Yes, he was. He was at. I remember when Teddy played drums.
Absolutely.
That's how. Oh, am I telling my age?
And as you know, we did a song today. Somebody told me to deliver this message.
Yes,
that
that
was
was
one
Teddy
of
Pendergrass.
that was,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
that's because as Philly Cream, we also want to, we want to promote a positive message in our music. So that's the kind of songs that we really enjoy, delivering to our audience.
Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes were as great as anybody, right?
Yeah. Yeah, how about it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jerry Blabbett. We met Gene London from going to their shows. Remember him? Yeah.
So of all the groups out of Philly, who do you? I hate to say who's your favorite, but name some of the best Philly groups that you.
Like all of them.
All of them.
It was just too much
That's politically
going on.
correct.
Yeah.
That's the right answer.
That's the right answer. Because eventually somebody will go, "How come you didn't mention me?"
Exactly.
Right.
Well, and a lot of those guys most of the guys that come out of the sound of Philadelphia were my friends.
Right.
So you would, even down to Gerald Levert, while his dad was in the studio recording, I'd play with, Gerald out in the booth, and then Eddie and them in the recording, and somebody had to babysit him, sit there.
Yeah.
So a lot of those guys were like my friends, and you look at things and look at where life has taken all of us, and you start to say, wow, it's getting lonely here. Wait a minute.
Sometimes I'll watch an old episode of Soul Train, and they had one a couple weeks back, and there's David Ruffin, who died tragically.
Yes,
he was a
yes.
John Doe. He died, and the body was there. They didn't recognize him.
Didn't even know who the man was.
Yeah, I mean, and you watch, Don Cornelius, of course, committed suicide, and you're watching and you go, wow, this show, this was not a happy ending. So
Well,
it's a
Don
rough
Cornelius, I
business.
never understood that at all.
Yep, no.
He seemed to me like he was well-rounded fella.
But he
the
had
whole
some
time.
kind of physical problem. He was in a lot of pain, from what I understand, physically.
Well, see, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I didn't
At
know
the
the whole
end,
story.
yeah.
I didn't know the whole story of that.
But you know, you watch some of those episodes and you say, you know, they did not end well.
Right.
And
Yeah, you look at that and you think, all right, well, where am I at now? Where am I at in my life?
You're still performing. You're
yeah,
still
it's kind of like
recording.
scary.
Well, you're doing better than a lot of guys. Believe me.
We're all still around to talk about it, though. That's
Yes.
that's the main thing.
Amen on that one.
CD
Amen.
coming out. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, well, it's with the Philly Cream, we recorded like 18 songs, so we do have enough to cover another, because we have new music coming out too, but we just wanted to get everybody together and all of our audience that was ever around, that's still around. We wanted to get them together and just, okay, now we're getting ready to do this again, and we're gonna make some good inspirational music, you know.
And that comes out September 23rd, I believe?
Yeah,
That's correct.
yeah.
It's called Groovin'.
Groovin',
Right?
right.
That's right, yes.
Because we covered that too. Groovin' on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah, we covered that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just went to the Rascals reunion on Broadway.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
They're from around this area.
Steve knows better
Yeah,
than
they're
me.
Jersey boys.
Yeah.
They're
They're
from
Jersey
Jersey,
boys, yeah,
the
North
Rascals.
Jersey.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love
From
those
Jersey.
boys too. The Jersey boys are
Yes.
great.
Yeah, Four
Great.
Seasons. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a famous story about the Rascals. When they were at their peak, they came out at the Apollo, and the audience was shocked they were white guys because they had such a pure, soulful
Yeah.
sound. Yeah,
I'll tell you another group, the Magnificent Men. You remember them? It was another group that nobody ever expected. Yo!
Yeah.
But they were so soulful. And nobody, yo! Everybody looked like, yo!
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all you can say. They were very talented fellas. The Young Rascals was talented. Too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of times when I interview legendary R&B acts, you know, they don't like hip hop for one thing, and they don't like the strong language. I'm making generalizations. There are exceptions, of course. And then they'll say today's R&B isn't as good as back in the day, but there are some great people out there. Jill Scott, Maxwell.
Sure.
You know, there are Music Soul Child. There are people making great music out there.
Yeah,
Who
what's,
are some of the people you listen to today?
Well, I'll tell you, what's Jeru?
Ja Rule.
Ja
Ja
Rule.
Rule.
Cause I'm happy.
No, that's Pharrell, dear.
Pharrell.
That's Pharrell.
Right.
That song is
Same
very
vowels.
infectious.
Yeah.
He knows the song and
Yeah,
the
you
rhythm.
know, oh man, that
Yeah.
song is like, you
Very
know,
infectious
it do the
song.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's a very infectious song. I love
great
it.
tune.
He did real well with
The video was great. I don't know if you've ever seen this.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I
that's-
seen the
It's
video.
a fun video. yeah.
Awesome, awesome.
And
And they played that in our church as well. It's,
Pharrell.
very
Yeah,
very
Pharrell.
spiritual music.
I thought it was Jeru. I don't know.
I saw
That's
Maxwell
right.
at the Garden, and he had jazz musicians behind him.
Oh,
you know, and he was great.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
I've seen him in concert as well.
Right,
Just puts on a
tremendous. And he's a showman on top of it.
Yes, he is.
And the music has substance. And and in the middle of his show at the Garden, this huge picture of Al Green circa the 70s pops up, and you go, hey, the guy has good taste,
That's for
right?
sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah. What was better than Al Green in the mid-70s? Oh, my God.
Ooh, Let's Stay Together. Oh my goodness.
I did some of my
great
tallest
songs.
dancing while Al was singing.
Really?
Yeah, some of my tallest dancing. Usually, nice. See, I love these ladies.
There you go.
Dance. There you go. When Al was doing it, whoa, you had to do that. It was something to do.
Okay.
Al
Yeah.
Green, Luther Vandross. They also say one of the greats that had that voice that just they used to call baby making music.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
That's
I
what
saw
he was
called.
Luther
absolutely.
live, and to this day I say Al Green doing Love and Happiness and Luther doing House Is Not a Home
Oh, my
is as
goodness.
great as anything you can
That's
ever
for
possibly
sure.
say.
That's for sure.
Right? Yeah, yeah. So your son's in the NFL? Tell us
Yes,
about
he
that.
is. He's a New York Giant.
All right.
Yes.
All right. And tell us who it is.
His name is Julian Talley,
Okay.
and he went to school at the University of Massachusetts.
So you must be very proud.
I am a very
Monday
proud
night.
mom.
You're going to be nervous Monday night, right?
Well, you know where we come from. What team is?
Yeah, the hated
It's
Eagles.
their rival team.
The
so
hated Eagles.
That's who it is.
Oh, don't start with the Eagles. Don't start with my team. Don't start with my team.
Yeah, but I also have a daughter that's serving our country in Korea right now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm very proud mom of my two children. Yeah.
Okay. I did a documentary about wounded warriors that I
Really?
produced called Teresa Sario Alive Again. So people have no idea the sacrifice that soldiers make.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes they come back, they're not the same, and the families have to deal with it, the wives, the kids.
Sure.
It's not easy.
Yes.
Not easy. And what people don't realize is a lot of the soldiers are kids. They're 18, 19, 20, 21. It's not easy.
That's
Not
true.
easy. Real sacrifice. Now that I brought everybody down.
We have to go back to the Pharrell song, Happy
Yeah.
Again. There you go.
So where do you see yourself down the road? You have a new CD coming out. Where would you
Well,
like to take Philly Cream?
Well,
We're excited, aren't we?
we're
really
really
excited.
excited.
Go
I'd
to
love to
Europe.
see it happen. Yeah, we're going. We're more than likely we will go to Europe, but I really would love to do it just here in the United States and just just
Spreading
just
our
go and
music.
enjoy it. This time around, I really won't make the same mistakes I made the first time around. I'll stick to the guns and do music in its truest form.
You three look like you've been together forever, the way you were performing before. I mean, it was just so fluid. And how long have you three been together?
Well, like I said, all of us are studio musicians, but we haven't been together
Working
ever
together.
since we started this project. That was the first time I met this one, and it's the first time I met this
We're
one.
talking just
But
less
I'm
than a year.
really, I'm really
Less than a
ecstatic
year. You
about
guys look like you've
both of
been
them.
doing it forever.
And they're two totally different personalities. Two totally.
Well, that's good because you complement each other.
Yeah, well,
sometimes likes, when people are too much alike, they
clash.
clash,
Well,
exactly.
well, Simone knows who to root for in football, so right away, you know,
Yeah,
there's-
well, I'm rooting for her son too. I gotta kind of, I gotta root for
Part
him
of the
too.
family now.
Yeah, so.
How about when Philadelphia plays New York?
No. See, I gotta pick
Come on,
sides.
Mr.
there.
Ross, you gotta
no,
make a
I gotta
better
pick a
choice.
side there.
I know what he's
going
gonna say
I gotta
already,
go with my
so.
team.
What's he gonna say?
I want him to catch a couple of touchdown passes, but not on my team. Catch it on some other team. Yeah,
But we're looking forward to really just having the opportunity to sing and get out there with with
Yeah, just-
communities and a lot of different areas, New York.
There is a
far as-
hunger for this great music.
Yes.
When you see, for example, the summer tours, you have all these acts that were big in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, Rod Stewart toured with Santana. Jeff Beck toured with ZZ Top. The 70s Soul Jam.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of ageism in the music industry, but it's ironic that some of the most successful tours are older acts, older audiences.
Right.
And I see a demand for this music, and again tell the parents to take the kids,
Exactly.
turn the kids on to
There's
this.
nothing like that. For
You know,
sure.
you know what else is amazing? I just retired from teaching, but I used to teach 8th grade. And we'd play music in the classroom while the kids would work. And I'd play music from the 60s, 70s. And my 8th grade would say, I know that song. I know that song.
Sure.
It's songs
Yes.
everyone knows and loves, every generation.
Yes.
They just don't know who does it. But
Right.
all these songs are recognized for generations after generation.
What are some of your favorite songs?
Did I tell you mine?
You talking to Simone?
Oh, you talking about Simone?
No, in general. I'm just throwing it out to everybody.
I'll tell you,
If you were getting married tomorrow, what 3 songs would you play?
San Francisco.
San Francisco. Tony Bennett. Wow.
I love Tony Bennett as well.
Yeah.
I do.
I love my heart in San Francisco. Oh, that's
Yeah.
a beautiful song.
I would be more in a spiritual, Amazing Grace. Just take me back
Yeah.
to where I originally started as a child in church.
I still love Whitney's music. He's one of my all-time favorites. And,
Clark
one of the greats.
Sisters.
I saw the Clark Sisters. I saw them open for Al Green.
Yeah.
Al Green back in the 80s was only doing gospel. He would just, I just love Al Green. I went down to his church in Memphis. Greatest thing I've ever experienced. Yeah.
We can't forget about Elvis. I like Elvis music as well. I love
I'll tell you a funny story.
Oh, Elvis.
Elvis's house, the tourist attraction, is about a mile from Al Green's church.
Really?
You could practically walk.
Wow.
So if you go to Memphis and you just go to Elvis's house, you miss something great.
How about
I've been
that?
to
Yeah.
Elvis's house.
Wow.
as a matter of
Yeah, it's
fact.
Al Green's.
Yes, I did a
yeah.
lookalike show with Larry Seft, Big L show with Rob Russin was the manager.
Yeah. We want to thank Rob Russin for
Yes.
setting this up.
Thank
too.
you.
Rob,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you, Rob.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks.
Yes, so much.
You went to Graceland?
Yes.
What was
Yes.
it like? As extravagant as...
Everything now,
You
you
hear?
just kind of, you can't like really go in it anymore. And just, kind of like a ride by, like you really can't go inside the room.
Almost like the White House.
Right. That's
You
what I was
know?
going to say. It's almost like going to the White House.
Yeah, seems like
Yeah.
it, yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story. I go to Graceland, and I was never a huge Elvis fan, to be honest. So the tour guides have this huge book, like everything Elvis ate, everything Elvis drank, everything Elvis did. So they said, ask us any question about Elvis. So I go, Elvis ever hang out with Al Green? They all look at each other, and they go,
That was a good question.
So they go, well, Elvis hung out with James Brown, and James Brown would come over and sing gospel songs with Elvis. And I go, okay, but what about Al Green? I mean, it made sense to me. I mean, Elvis died, what, 77?
77, yeah.
77.
August
Al Green
77.
peaked in the, what, early 70s?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you would think they were
He should have been
contemporaries.
guest.
They were neighbors.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
he should have been guest. Yeah.
So this is a question that may never be answered. We're putting it out there for the world.
Okay. Yeah.
So is there a website, any contact information
Go.
for the group?
Well, we do have an email address where you can reach Philly Cream, and that's phillycream1950 at gmail.com. And it's PHILLYCREAM 1950 at gmail.com.
There you go.
So, plain and simple.
And I have one final question. When you look back at the history of Philly Cream, what do you consider some of the highlights? What are some of the things that you're proudest of?
I'm proud of all the recordings that we ever did.
Great
It was just fun to do Philly Cream, and the sad part about that is I never had the opportunity to perform as Philly Cream because I was obligated to another group, and Brandy Wells was obligated to another group. But now we have a new opportunity. I have opportunity here and opportunity
go.
right here, and we're gonna try.
I'd
to do it
certainly
right
come
this
out
time.
and see you guys.
We're gonna try and do it right
to
this
see you
time. We're
guys
gonna
live.
try and make it happen. I'm hoping that Butch is on board with Butch. I hope you're on board with this.
And when you go on YouTube, there's all the Philly Cream songs. So 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, this music will live on. It's a beautiful thing.
Sure.
It is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that Society of Records really pick up and we do really well with it. And with people like you, I'm pretty sure.
I know we're so happy to be here.
You
Thank
are.
you for
We're
having us.
proud and
Thank
honored to
you.
have you.
Thanks
And
for having us out.
you're always welcome if you have anything else to promote. And
We'd love to come
we
back.
want to thank Butch Ingram and Rob
Thank you.
Rustin and everybody involved. in
Certainly
doing this.
appreciate everything
For
that
sure.
you do. Too.
You got it.
Yeah,
You got
Rob and Butch.
Yes, thank you.
it.
Thank you for the music.
Yeah. And you too, young fella.
Thank
There you
you
go.
very much, Mr. Ross.
There you go. So we want to thank you one more time, and that'll about do it for Legends TV today, folks.
Okay,
Always
there you go.
An eclectic mix.
There you go.